You're online at the Feel Good Station. Your first stop for feel good music, feel good chat, and much, much more.
The Cellar of Horrors.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Cellar of Horrors on the Feel Good Station. I'm your host Tim Mendes. I'm joined as ever by my little spider sidekick, Septimus. Yeah, the song you just heard to lead us in was the fabulous Predator by October Burns Black from their 2019 EP, Reflections. Yeah, great stuff. I've not managed to get around to seeing them yet, but it's definitely on the cards. They're a superb band. We have another packed show for you this week, don't we, Septimus? Unfortunately, he's not got any, there's no bunnies or anything coming to see him this week. Dafty. Yeah, in the first hour we'll be joined by all three members of West Midlands-based gothic rock band The Glass House Museum, and then in the second hour I'll be joined by head honcho of Nordic Press, Christopher Mary Hultman, and we'll be discussing a project that I may have had something to do with. And it may involve Lovecraftian stuff, you know. There may be the odd tentacle here and there. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We're going to have recent releases from people like the Birthday Massacre, a band who I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce, and... surprise, surprise, I have trouble with pronunciations. It's my flat northern vowels. And various other interesting bits and bobs. So yeah, it should be a good one. But before we start, I just sort of want to point out that if you start hearing any random bleeps and bloops and things like that, it's just Septimus. I made the mistake of buying him a little... It's like a mini keyboard. It's sort of a half-size keyboard for the computer. I bought myself a new toy, basically. And we've got all the old classic synthesizer sounds on it and all that. And yeah, it's fun because I've decided to get back into doing some musical stuff myself. And I spent ages getting all the old Roland drum machine sounds. So anyway, yeah. So if you do get a random musical interlude, it is just Septimus mucking about, innit? I've not really had a chance to go on it yet. He's basically commandeered it. It's yours. Okay, it's yours. Right, anyway, on the subject of synth music, it's about time for your Septimus's synth moment, innit? What have you got for us this week? Oh, you've got a classic, have you? Oh, a modern classic. What are you going for? Oh, you know, Septimus, if you weren't such a little terror, I could kiss you for that one. That's an absolute great track. One of my favourites. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go ahead straight in with that. This is I Lost My Best Friend to a Video Game by Mechanical Cabaret.
Level 1.
You're online at the Feel Good Station.
Great stuff, and plenty synthy, twiddly synthy noises to keep Septimus happy. That was the Birthday Massacre with Dreams of You from their brand spanking new album, Fascination. Yeah, it's not been out long, and it's a good one. You know, all Birthday Massacre is good Birthday Massacre. They're one of them bands that I don't think have put a foot wrong, in my humble opinion. I really like them. I love their sound. It's sort of... Yeah, they class themselves as dream pop, and I guess that's kind of a decent way of describing it. It is all kind of dreamy and, you know, ethereal almost. Yeah, it's good stuff. Before that, you heard Septimus's choice this week, which was I Lost My Friend to a Video Game by Mechanical Cabaret from their album Beyond Science and Superstition from 2013, though that was a slightly tweaked version from their EP, I Lost My Friend to a Video Game, that came out the year after in 2014. If you ever get the chance to see Mechanical Cabaret live, do it. Roy is an absolute showman, and a lovely chap to boot. So yeah, definitely recommended. We're rapidly approaching that point in the evening where we join my first guests. This week it's West Midlands-based gothic rock band, The Glass House Museum, who have been around for a while now, but they're, really good. Great band. And it turns out that I knew the bass player a long time ago. I used to attend a night called Hex in the City at the Gifford Arms in Wolverhampton in 2003 to 2005, that sort of era. And he was the DJ, it was his night. And I actually I did a couple of guest slots for him in various states of drunkenness. I blame the fact that they served absinthe. You know, it's always it's always a mistake. It's always a mistake to get me near the green stuff. Anyway, before we get to that, I'm going to play you a song that reminds me of those days, because it was a band I was really into around that time. That's the Dark Side Cowboys. Does anyone remember them? Anyway, yeah, I was really into them, and this is a song, New Religion, from their 2001 album, Believe. Enjoy.
Feel Good Station, taking you to the best shows.
the seams. We're broken at the seams.
You're listening to the Cellar of Horrors on the Feel Good Station. Yeah, the first track you heard there was the Dark Side Cowboys with New Religion from their 2001 album, Believe. After that, it was a song called Tides by, well, this bunch. Right, yeah, I'm here with our first guests of the evening, the Glasshouse Museum, who are a gothic rock band from the West Midlands. Hello, guys, how are you doing?
Hello.
Yes, you're piled into a toilet or somewhere or something.
Well, close to the toilet. It's the studio.
The toilet's only yards away, yeah. We're currently in the rehearsal room that we use on a pretty much weekly basis. That's Tower Studios in Stone.
Oh, Stone. I've not been there for a long time. Blimey. So, yeah, would you like to introduce yourselves then, guys?
Hello, I'm Jo. I'm the vocalist and guitarist.
All right, I'm Johnny. I'm a guitarist and vocalist.
And I'm Lima, and I'm a bassist and a programmer, but not allowed anywhere near a microphone.
Excellent, excellent. So, the Glasshouse Museum, how long have you been going then?
Ooh, that's the three of us here.
Yeah.
We've been going for what, 5 years, is it?
I joined in 2017, start off, even though I sort of was like getting my feet wet when towards the end.
So that's 5 years. So
yeah, 5 years.
Lima joined the band in 2017, as he said. Myself and Joe have been running for a few years longer than that, weren't we? In a different format in terms of a different bass player, a mate of ours who moved to France, Mr. Dagger. And then Lima happily stepped in, and it was a baptism of fire, I think, mate, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Like 2 or 3 gigs straight away. And
we took him to all the great places. Rugby club.
Yeah.
Moles Rugby Club.
Yeah, we treated it.
Rugby club. Nice.
It was a baptism of fire, but the people will be, and that's the main thing. So there you go. That's sort of how we've established ourselves. Both sets probably been in different bands over the years, which are now relatively unimportant. But that's us, the Glasshouse Museum.
Perfect. Yeah, so the song we led in the segment with was Tides. I believe that was off your second EP?
Yeah, that's off the Tales from the Aftermath EP, as it happens.
Yeah.
Well, mind you, it's not strictly the second one, though, because there are other Glasshouse Museum releases prior to me joining.
Well, I'm just going off what's on Bandcamp.
Yeah, but you'll find that Aquaphobia and oh my god,
Compliance and Lies.
Compliance and Lies are the first two. Those are pre-me. They were the H was in the band. They're playing bass. Yeah, pre-Lima releases. Malfunction of Morals was the first one. First EP that we did together when I joined, and then it was Tales from the Aftermath.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of harder to name the EPs than it was to write the songs.
Yes,
to be honest.
Your most recent one was called Artifacts. Is that right?
Artifacts. That's right. Yes.
Released just in time for COVID.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We dropped it and then we had lockdown almost immediately. That was great. Fun times.
Yeah, I remember, because I remember when you brought it out, and then like Pete Finnemore from Grooved Green was doing the Unity compilation thing that you guys were on.
That's right.
Yeah, and it was all like, here's COVID. Oh, brilliant, you know.
But hopefully we gave some people a nice listen whilst they were all trapped in their houses. So
yeah.
Well, this is it, isn't it? You know?
There's also a plus side to it, but obviously many downsides.
Yeah. Right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to play another one of your tracks. Now, I believe you've got something special lined up for us here.
Have we?
Well, that's what you said a minute ago. That's what you said a minute ago, anyway. Bells and whistles and all that.
I better get out the oven. The timer's going off.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're on about Jericho there.
I am, yeah.
Yes, you are. It's Jericho's track off the Aftermath EP, but we snazzed it up a little bit mid-lockdown for an album that was released by our mate Joel, and it was what was the charity now? I think it was for refugees.
Yes,
something like that. It was refugees. It was the Paphras charity for refugees. And as it happens, before I joined the song, Before I joined the band, the guys had a song called Jericho, and it was actually about. Well, you tell the story, Joe, on that, yeah.
Wake up!
It was having a corridor moment. I wrote it actually about the refugees and asylum seekers that were basically all penned in at Calais, and there was a news where they were literally being hosed down and stuff like that, and it was absolutely disgraceful. Still is disgraceful.
Yeah.
But that's inspired me really to have a bit of a shout on Jericho.
Basically, I had that song. It was a really powerful song anyway. But I just managed to get hold of a bunch of like orchestral instruments for music software.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd try it out. And that was the ideal opportunity. So it's got sweeping strings and the whole lot. It's just, if it doesn't bring you a tear to your eye, then you're a potato, basically.
Could be
Yeah, it could be a Bond theme. Yes, that's where we were going. So
Lovely.
There you go. Roll tape. We hope you enjoy it.
Excellent. Yep. This is Jericho by the Glasshouse Museum.
The boats are small, they're overloaded, crossing the busiest thoroughfare for shipping in the world. People will die.
The children are lost at sea, buried far beyond your borders. The children are lost at sea, buried beyond your boundaries. The children are lost at sea, buried far beyond your borders. Just following orders, we're just following. Jericho's walls are brought to the ground, drenched with cannons in their faces. Jericho's walls are brought to the ground, armed with the cannons you bring them to pieces.
And we're back with the Glasshouse Museum. That was Jericho, an orchestral version. Yeah, so what have you guys got going on at the minute? Have you got anything on the horizon release-wise?
Well, we're currently writing lots of new songs, and hopefully next year we'll be releasing either 2 EPs or an album. We haven't quite decided yet on what the format's going to be. December, we are playing in the Black Midwinter 2 in Sheffield with our very good friend Derek from Jan Doyle Band and a load of other folks.
Oh yeah, I think Gothzilla are playing that, because I interviewed Tim last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think they're playing that as well.
Yes, our good mate is playing as well, which can only mean carnage.
Yeah.
Carnage on the dance floor when we get together. So, yes, the last time we played in the Black Midwinter, it ended messily.
Nice.
I blame Mr. Jarvis.
It was that both of these two had banging hangovers, and I was like rolled in all like zippy, raring to go, and like having to go near a pint all weekend. But these two was like they were suffering, but still managed to get a rest of the set out though.
Yeah, we did.
So quite impressive, really. I was going bouncing around. I was like the toddler you don't want to see on a Sunday morning, so like bouncing all excited. And these two were just like, oh.
There's nothing worse than somebody bouncing around like Tigger when you feel like death.
Yeah, I was that bit.
And then our gig next year, first gig, is in Doncaster, and that is for, I think it's Punks for Homeless.
Punks for Homeless or something like that, yeah.
And again, playing the Jan Doyle Band, and quite a few.
There's a few other bands playing as well, which we've never stumbled across before. So that'd be a really cool afternoon, evening.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that one as well. And what I would say to your listeners, keep an eye on our Facebook page, and you'll see any up and coming gigs which are coming on, because you never know, we might get some more between then, or we might get some just after. So if you like what you hear,
we'll keep constantly updating the page.
Available for weddings, funerals, and bar mitzvahs.
And we got one in March in Wolverhampton as well, supporting Coburg, sort of Skolliker symphonic metal outfit from down London. It's basically one lass who's a multi-musician, but she's doing her one and only gig for the year. And we're on the lineup, we're on the bill.
Oh, excellent. What venue's that in?
That's the Purity venue.
That's a new one, because I've not been to Wolverhampton in a long time. So, that's a new venue on me.
It's a good venue. It's got good access for your roads. If you're coming by car, you've got there's parking around Wolverhampton, which is all pretty easy. And you've got the train station there, of course. As long as no one's striking, then you'll be able to hop on a train and come and see us, or come see Coburg, whichever way. So we're looking forward to it.
It's just over the road from Sainsbury's, right?
Oh, right. Okay, I know where it is then.
Can I just say, other supermarkets are available?
Yeah,
I don't quite know their location to the venue.
Brilliant. Yeah. So what you need to do, guys, is if you do have anything else come up, you need to let me know, and I'll put it out on air for you.
Oh, much appreciated.
There you go.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. Excellent.
See, I told you it was
Yeah. I have my moments.
Never said that. He did say that.
Brilliant. Right, well, thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on. Like I say, if you do have any news, do let me know. But before we go, I believe, I ask everybody who comes on to pick a goth favourite, a classic, to lead out on. So what have you guys argued amongst yourselves about?
Well, like I said to you, Tim, just before we come on air there, we're all a bit battered and bruised now because we had a massive scrap. All these things are always hard to decide on, but we have decided on a fantastic band, Fields of the Nephilim, and the track is Siberia.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
You're online at the Feel Good Station.
You're back in the Cellar of Horrors on the Feel Good Station. Excellent stuff there. That was Be My Friend by Belgian darkwave legends Clan of Xymox from their 2006 album Breaking Point. You might have noticed there's what people class the Omen music being used in there in a sample. They're not the only band who have done that. Apoptygma Berserk did that with Love Never Dies, but unfortunately there was some kind of rights issue, so unless you got like the first version that was released, you won't get that sample on there because it's gone, it got scrubbed. And there's a sort of a similar synth line has replaced it, a sort of eerily similar synth line, but it's not the same. But the original is an absolute classic. I'll have to get it on the show at some point. Before that, you heard Siberia, Seasons in the Ice Cage by Fields of the Nephilim from their album Morning Sun, and that was the choice of our guests, the Glass House Museum. Thanks to that was brilliant fun. If you want to come on the show, get in touch, let me know at cellarofhorrors@gmail.com. That's all lowercase, all one word. Any bands, or writers, artists, anything like that, anything goth or horror related really, if you've got something to plug, come on the show and have a chat. It's always good fun. Also, feel free to send me tracks. Let me know about tour dates, gigs, shows, whatever you think. Okay, we're rapidly heading towards the end of our first hour. Stick with us in the second hour. We'll be joined by Christopher Mary Hultman from Nordic Press. We'll be talking tentacles and all kinds of slippery appendages. I'll also have the usual smorgasbord of tunage. To play the hour out, I'm going to go with an old favourite of mine, an absolute classic, but also I'm going to do this not just because I love it, but also because a sad reason, really. Recently, the UK lost one of our legendary comic actors, Mr. Robbie Coltrane. Now, for those of you who are only familiar with him through the Harry Potter films, I urge you to go back and check out his earlier work, because his comedy stuff was absolutely sublime. And even Cracker, which was psychological thriller stuff, they still had some really great comic moments in it because he had impeccable timing. And the song I'm about to play is by one of my favourite bands, Alien Sex Fiend, and it's their song Sample My Sausage. And the entire song is based around a sample of Robbie Coltrane saying sausage. And it's taken from an episode of Blackadder the Third. Ink and Incapability it's called, and it's where Robbie Coltrane plays Samuel Johnson, and he made his dictionary, and at the end of it, Baldrick gives him a little piece of paper, and it's his novel apparently, and it says, "Once upon a time there was a lovely little sausage called Baldrick," and now it turns out that Johnson's missed sausage out of his dictionary, so he goes, "Sausage? Sausage? Sausage!" Yep, and Alien Sex Fiend loved it and made an entire song around it. It also inspired me and my drunken friends in the West Midlands, who became known as the West Midlands Sausage Squad, because we used to like to shout sausage at each other across clubs and across the town. So yeah, here we go. I absolutely love it. Great song. This is Sample My Sausage by Alien Sex Fiend.
You had the beats, you've had the souls. Now we're on a collision course. Sample my sausage. Sample my sausage. You drive the beat. Now it's cold. Get over here with your knife and fork. Sample my sausage. Sample my sausage. Sample my sausage. One more. Sample my sausage. Just a bit. Sample my sausage. Sausage!
You're online at the Feel Good Station. Your first stop for feel good music, feel good chat, and much, much more.
Take the children and yourself and hide out in the cellar. By now the fighting will be close at hand. Don't believe the church and state and everything they tell you. Believe in me, I'm with the high command. There's a gun and ammunition just inside the doorway. Use it only in emergency. Better you should pray to God, the Father and the Spirit will guide you and protect you from out here.
Yes, welcome back to the Feel Good Station. Welcome back to the Cellar of Horrors. And yeah, the song you just heard was this week's improbable cover. Our strange cover version for this week was provided by German goth legends Blutengel, and that was their cover of the Mike and the Mechanics track Silent Running. Now, I really like that. I think that's a great version. I'm not a huge fan of Mike and the Mechanics, but that version, yeah, really flicks my switches for some reason. Before that, leading out the hour, you heard the dulcet tones of Robbie Coltrane shouting, "Sausage!" Yeah, that was from Alien Sex Fiend's Sample My Sausage, taken from their 1988 album Another Planet, and that was my tribute to Mr. Robbie Coltrane. So rest in peace, Mr. Coltrane, and cheers for all the giggles. Coming up in this hour, we'll be joined by Mr. Christopher Mary Hultman from Nordic Press, and we'll be playing loads of other tracks. As you would imagine, Septimus is... I don't know what he's even doing. What are you doing? You're sampling web spinning. I told you earlier about his new toy. You know, the old MIDI keyboard and all that. We do have an old Akai sampler kicking around as well, so I guess he's fiddling about with that, and he's trying to sample his web spinning. You know, I don't think it's going to pick it up, mate. It won't. I'm pretty sure it won't pick up a spider spinning a web. I don't think we have microphones capable of that kicking around in the Cellar of Horrors. Oh well, whatever floats your boat. Being as you're so into your synth again, do you want another one? Do you want another synth moment? Right, okay. Come on then. Think fast. What do you want? Oh, I love it when I put you on the spot, Septimus. You always pull the rabbit out of the hat. That's a good choice. Yeah, a classic. Now, I first heard this song on an old cassette that a waiter, because I used to be a chef, a waiter I was working with at the time gave me this compilation cassette. It was called Club for Heroes. And it was a compilation of like songs that were being played at Blitz, you know, the old New Romantic Club down in London. And one of the tracks, it was a great compilation. It had like bands like Talk Talk and Visage and Japan, all them kind of bands, you know, the really good stuff of that sort of 80s synth pop stuff, you know. But one of the standout moments on it for me was this track. It's by a New Zealand band called Ice House. The track is also called Ice House, from their 1980 album Flowers. Enjoy.
There's a
You're online at the Feel Good Station.
Absolutely stunning stuff there. That was Belgian-based gothic rock band Your Life on Hold with their song Harvest Moon from their 2018 album My Name is Legion, for We Are Many. Before that, you heard Ice House by Ice House. Yeah, look, Your Life on Hold are another one of those bands that I was supposed to see, but I didn't because of the pandemic. They were the last gig I went to it turned out for 2 years, was a show up in London. It was headlined by Still Patient, support from Grooving in Green and Down From Above. Now, it was supposed to be 4 bands on that lineup. The 4th band was supposed to be, you guessed it, Your Life on Hold. But unfortunately, yeah, flights and everything stopped, didn't they? Still Patient had flown over from Germany, but they were already here when it all went in. The problem they had was getting back. All the flights stopped and they were it just didn't happen. And it's a real shame because I don't think they've been back over since. And I really wanted to see them. I really like them. They're a great band. Righty-ho, it's nearly time for our second guest of the evening, Mr. Christopher Mary Hultman from Nordic Press. Before that, I'm going to give you the brand spanking new single. Now, I'm going to have difficulties here. Now, I've been saying it's a pronunciation issue, and I guess it is. I struggle with names of things that are hard to pronounce. Like I said, it's flat northern vowels. But this one, I just can't fathom their name. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, guys. I really can't fathom your name, so I'm going to spell it. It's spelled Stiiill. Now, is it still or still? Or I don't know, because the actual track when I bought it from Bandcamp, it actually lists the band name as ST-L. So I'm really confused. I'm going to have to get them on to ask them. It's actually Andrew and Chris from The Last Cry. It's their new project. The Last Cry just played their final gig a few weeks ago and released a final farewell single, which I played on the show. That can be found on a previous episode up on Mixcloud. And yeah, it was a shame that they've gone, but it seems like my Last Cry shaped hole is going to be filled by this new project. I'm really enjoying it. The track is called Darkened Eyes.
So we hear the stories again, and we have nowhere to hide, and nothing matters, or so you say. You pretend that you don't know. When it starts, trust in yourself, ghosting you, tries to break on through. Attempting time, discovers our fate, shades of grey, fill the void again. Behind your darkened eyes, 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 behind your darkened eyes. Can you tell that the time is so close? Control you, your every move. The twisted mind configures our way. Truth surrounds to lessen our fate. Behind your darkened eyes, behind your darkened eyes, behind your darkened eyes, behind your darkened eyes. Behind your darkened eyes, behind your darkened eyes, behind your darkened eyes, behind your darkened eyes, behind your darkened lies, behind your darkened lies, behind your darkened lies, behind your darkened lies.
The Feel Good Station, taking you to the best shows.
Today should be your best.
Down beneath the swoosh of the turbines, the long grass it blows in ripples. There's a beautiful spiral of roads that leads the lost up here. I was watching the birds taking off to swoop down over the city. They find and take just what they need and turn, turn, turn. The movers move, the shakers shake, the winners write their history. But from high on the high hills, it all looks like nothing. The movers move, the shakers shake, the winners write their history. But from high on the high hills, it all looks like nothing. That afternoon on Hustler Gate, with all the TVs flickering, while behind the sky was moving liquid crimson gold. Brothers, sisters, pay no heed to the unfaithful messengers, for theirs is a prison world of lies, 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 where the movers move, the shakers shake, the winners rewrite history. But from high on the high hills, it all looks like nothing. The movers move, the shakers shake, the winners write their history. But from high on the high hills, it all looks like nothing. The keening wind, it blows through me, it blows through me. What time it was, we almost done, we almost done. All these things you fear so much depend on angles of vision. Down in the maze of walls, you can't see what's coming. But from high on the high hills, it all looks like nothing. From high on the high hills, it all looks like nothing. Nothing.
That was New Model Army with their song High, which is the title track from their 2007 album High, funnily enough. Now, yes, it's time for our second guest. Septimus is occupied, so I'll bring him in. Right, I'm here with my second guest of the evening. This is Mr. Christopher Mary Hultman from Nordic Press. How are you doing, matey?
I'm good. It's here in the cold north, very cold and very rainy. I think we haven't seen the sun since, mid-September.
Yeah, that's perils of living in Sweden, isn't it? It's just like, you think it's bad over here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You know, I personally prefer it to be colder than hot, so I'd probably like it over there.
Yeah, you probably would. Dark, dreary, old castles, you know.
Oh, mate.
Perfect.
Yeah, sounds
like,
great.
It's like an M.R. James story.
Oh, sounds perfect. Sounds perfect.
Well, that's why Count Magnus takes place here.
Yes, indeed. Count Magnus. What absolute great story. Yeah.
It is. I just listened to it the other day.
Oh, nice. Obviously, you read a lot of like horror and stuff like that. I mean, like, because you're a writer yourself as well as just running Nordic Press, and I know you've done some crime stuff as well, haven't you? But I mean, what was it safe to say? What's your main sort of output?
Well, I think if you were to ask me before everything started rolling, and I think we had this discussion once, and I had it with Callum Pierce, our mutual friend, is like we kind of all started selling our stuff around the same time, which is interesting. Somehow.
Yeah, strange, isn't it?
It is. It's really strange. If you would have asked me then, I would have said that I'm a fantasy author foremost, but I rarely actually write fantasy that gets published. Every time I try, this doesn't work, and I think I get tired. I mean, I love fantasy. That is my love, and that is, I mean, because I'm a literary scholar as my base, with fantasy as my main area of research, and then actually a minor in Gothic horror, and that's kind of like to that area. But today, I think it's mostly supernatural and crime, actually, because the three kind of like full-length novels that I've put out have all been crime novels of various kinds, and I do like, you know, Raymond Chandler, that kind of stuff. Mickey Spillane, a little bit more cerebral crime fiction, you know, that is, and I think it comes off because Raymond Chandler, like myself, was a literary scholar, so you kind of like add a lot of those kind of elements. You make a lot of references to other literary fiction, which I like to do. So yeah, I would probably say that I mostly like crime, supernatural, the occult.
Nice. You can't go wrong with the occult. So how long have you been running Nordic Press now? Because it started off as a spin-off from another publisher, didn't it? And then became its own beast.
Yes. So Nordic Press, as it is we're coming up on our first actual year as Nordic Press, and we're into our second year as a publisher overall. Yeah. So that's kind of how it was. And I think when we, as a spin-off, David Green and I, who kind of started it, we were thinking like it would be nice to publish our own work. And then we got an offer from this other company, and then we ran with it, and then they kind of fell apart for one reason or another, and we just kind of decided that we'll just split off and do our thing together with Derek Power, who is our like IT tech, and now Callum Pierce has jumped into the whole thing. So we've had a couple of people that have come and gone that have helped us, and then have done their own thing. But I think the core is Derek Power and I right now. And
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, we're gonna talk about one of your, because Nordic Press isn't just one thing, is it? You've got several arms of it. You've got several imprints. Now we're going to talk about one of those in a bit when we come back. But just before that, so what are the arms of it?
Well, we wanted to do, because the idea of Nordic Press was that we wanted to make a kind of like a house or publishing house for people in Europe who generally don't get published. And genre fiction, at least here in Sweden, but also in like Ireland and other countries, have a difficult time getting published. And there are very few publishers that'll touch stuff that isn't crime or Stephen King.
Yeah, or literary or Mills and Boon or...
Exactly. Do something for all of them, and then they kind of balloon into all over the world. But our imprints are, Nordic Press, which basically does most of our anthologies of different kinds. And then we have Fables, which is our fantasy imprint, and then we have Chronicles, which is our science fiction imprint, and then we have House of Loki, which is our young adult and kids fiction imprint.
Yeah.
And then we have the last one, which is Mythos, which is the one we're going to talk about later. We've yet to have a crime one, but I think there are other companies that do a lot of crime fiction, so I think they are.
Yeah. I think just sort of put that out under sort of, because I mean, you've done like your murder, mystery, mayhem thing. So yeah, I mean, and you've put out your own stuff as well, I think, haven't you?
Yes, I put out, I put out, actually I've only put out one of my own things, which was Face of Fear, which was the first one, which was a supernatural noir. And then I've had the others was actually through Black Ink Fiction, and then one called Reverend Crown.
Nice. Excellent. Right, so yeah, we're just going to take a quick break. Now, as always, I ask the guests to choose a couple of tracks, and you've come up with a couple of corkers, because we have very similar music taste. I know this from conversations. It's interesting because the song I played us in with was High by New Model Army, because I know you're a fan of that, as I am.
I love and High is just such a great song.
Yeah. It's a great album as well. Seriously underrated. Seriously underrated album. Yeah, so I believe, what have you got for us the first one then?
Well, the first one is a very personal favorite. I was thinking of, when I was thinking of Gothic music, one of the loves that I always come back to is, of course, The Mission. I chose Severina. Really do love kind of the atmosphere it creates. And I listen to a lot of The Mission when I write. And I think that's probably why my fiction tends to go a little darker.
Excellent. Yep. Okay, this is Severina from The Mission. Welcome back to the Cellar of Horrors on the Feelgood Station. That was Severina by The Mission from their classic album God's Own Medicine, and it was the choice of my guest, Christopher Mary Hultman. Right, yeah, so Nordic Press, one of the arms, or in this case tentacles, of Nordic
Absolutely.
Press, is Mythos. So, would you like to just give everybody the pitch on that one then?
Well, Mythos was, of course, we felt that there needs to be a European or more modern version of maybe Arkham House.
Yes.
Obviously, they're less, and I don't know how active Arkham House really is anymore.
It's not.
But no. And we really wanted to put out new and exciting Lovecraftian or Mythos content. And I mean, of course, it doesn't always have to be set in Lovecraft's world. So Clark Ashton Smith and Howard and all those guys are interesting to us.
Yeah.
But we wanted, Mythos is kind of like we want a home for people to be able to write Lovecraftian stuff and Mythos stuff, because just as well as I do that Lovecraft has a special voice.
Yes.
And a voice that unfortunately I think a lot of publishers don't accept today.
Yes. Well, I've had several of my things sent back because it was too purple.
Yeah.
And that's precisely it, isn't it? It's that purple prose, it's that very eloquent, lots of long words and big, long descriptive passages. It's just not the current trend, is it? It's got to be more kind of like, almost like TV editing, sort of jump cuts now. Yeah. It's got to be quicker, it's got to be faster. So the more quiet horror, even the stuff like Ramsey Campbell and stuff like that, the quieter sort of, like, there's a big build up. A lot of publishers aren't interested in that at the moment.
No, and I think even people, and I'm sure you've come across that too, people that they have cosmic horror calls or Lovecraftian calls or even weird fiction calls, and you send them something that, well, I'm not going to toot my own horn and say that Lovecraft could have written it, but in the style of Lovecraft with like no real dialogue or anything like that.
Yeah.
And they just reject it because they're just like, this isn't what we're looking for, but it is exactly what you're looking for.
No, I've had the pleasure of working with you. Obviously, you put out my novella, Antisocial Housing, and my second short story collection. But at the moment, I've had the pleasure of working with you again on a group project for the Mythos thing, which is part of a trilogy.
Yes, we and just like it says in the foreword, so people who buy the book will read it there. But the story is that our good friend Eric Labrie, or E.L. Giles, had, I don't know, he came up with Cthulhu versus Vikings, or Cthulhu versus Asgard, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was sitting at my desk, and I was just like, that is a really interesting concept. And I'm very visual, so I had like this vision of a Viking staring at Cthulhu rising from the North Sea. Nice. With an axe in hand. And I was just like, that would be such an awesome cover, and it would be such an awesome story. But why would Cthulhu fight Vikings was my idea. And we were kind of thinking, it's like, obviously he wants to destroy the greatest empire the earth has ever seen, which would be the British Empire, even before it even is formed, I guess. Yeah. So the idea from my perspective was a little bit that you want to put together a trilogy where Cthulhu tries to destroy that whole North Sea region in various ages. And then we were talking about the Viking Age, and we were talking about more modern age, 20s, 30s, or something like that.
Yeah.
Be a bit more noir, which would be the last installment. But then we had to have a first installment.
I remember us sitting there going, what should we do with that?
And then, I was watching a television. I was just kind of like laying in my pants, drinking wine, watching TV, and this documentary about Doggerland came on, and I knew I had heard of Doggerland as a concept, through Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull,
indeed,
who wrote a song called Doggerland about in his epic Homo Eroticus, and I was just like, I'd look into it, and it seemed very interesting, and this has to be done. So I called you up, and we just like, it has to be Doggerland.
Yeah, it did. It had to be done. But like I said, in the foreword I wrote, it's it was then how, because not a lot of, like we were saying, it's quite a blank slate, isn't it? It's And when you're doing a group thing, you need to give people direction, but there's not a lot of direction you can give apart from. Well, mainly I went down the thing of what we don't want is we don't want people like cavemen going ugh at people, you know. No. But yeah, I think that between the group and everything, I think we've come up with something really kind of unique and really kind of special.
So too,
yeah. So that's coming out at the end of the month. So right, thanks for coming on, mate. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And,
it is a pleasure, yes.
And I believe you've got one more track for us, and it's a good one. Yeah.
Yes. The title escapes me. Rain.
Rain from Heaven.
Rain from Heaven. Yes. By the Sisterhood, intimately connected to the mission, obviously.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it was the blocker, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And I must say, the one thing that is and the whole Gift album that this comes from.
Great.
It's very near and dear to my heart because it really made me want to write.
Right.
So I did, and I still have it. I wrote a script called Gift, but it isn't that. Do you remember? Do you know the game Killer?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I envisioned a story where this killer game is all over the world. We have like a central figure in France that gets all these this information and data from people who want to join, and there's a big pot, and then this whole story was supposed to be about people actually joining the killer game and killing each other all over the world.
Nice, I like it.
It's called a Gift, and it's just like so a lot of the songs on Gift are like they're kind of featured in the movie, but kind of like the essence of what the song is.
Right,
like the feeling. So you can imagine the final song and what actually kind of like happens then. The final scene.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose that song, because it's very, very near, and I think it's just an amazing album, and it's so kind of out there. Yeah. I mean, Sisters of Mercy were always out there, but this is like, I know it was kind of like a rushed work, but it just doesn't feel like it.
No. Yeah, because it was rushed out to block the mission using the name The Sisterhood. And a lot of people don't realise it's actually James Ray on vocals who went on to do a load of stuff in his own right. It's a really, really good album. It's great choice. So we'll go with that. This is Rain from Heaven by the Sisterhood.
as the day is long. Forgive as we forget. As the day is long. As the day is long. We forgive as we forget. As the day is long. As the day is long. We forgive as we forget. As the day is long. As the day is long. We forgive as we forget. As the day is long. As the day is long. Flows over the bridge. As we walk on the floodland. As we walk on the water. We forget. We forget. Rain from heaven. As the water flows over the bridge. As we walk on the floodland. As we walk on the water. We forget. We forget. Rain from heaven. As the water flows over the bridge. As we walk on the floodland. We walk on the water.
You're online at the Feel Good Station.
A crimson child with a scar to burn finds disappointment written everywhere. From Michigan to who knows where, they made the switch when your back was turned. And now every station's tuned so she don't care. You're coming up short by expectations. Hide, Sally, hide. Idiot talk for an idiot nation. Hide, Sally, hide. If you get caught, don't believe it. Don't dream, don't even show your face. Hide, Sally, hide away. No introductions needed, they can wait. Oh, you must be Susie with the stolen plates. Well, you're hardly how I pictured you. A party girl with a patchwork truth. So out of place here.
listening to the Cellar of Horrors on the Feel Good Station, and thanks again to my guest Christopher Mary Hultman from Nordic Press. It was a great chat as always. Yeah, we could have gone on for hours. We usually do. After that, you heard his second choice of tune, which is the fabulous Rain from Heaven by the Sisterhood from their 1985 mini-album Gift. Yeah, and as we alluded to, that album was kind of created as a block because Wayne Hussey and Craig Adams had left the Sisters of Mercy and gone on to form their own band, which later became The Mission, but originally they were going to call themselves the Sisterhood. And Andrew Eldritch from the Sisters of Mercy didn't like that idea, so he released something as the Sisterhood to basically block them. Now, we kind of gone down a Sisters of Mercy rabbit hole here, because after that I decided to play a song by another person who split from the Sisters at the same time as Eldritch and Adams, Mr. Gary Marks, who would eventually go on to form Ghost Dance. Now, the song you heard was Idiot Nation from the album 1995 and Nowhere. Now, that was written because Andrew Eldritch and Gary Marks had been talking about reforming a lineup of the Sisters of Mercy in 1995. And Gary Marks did as he always used to. He wrote the music. All Eldritch had to do was turn up and put some lyrics on it, which he never did. So, a few years later, Gary Marks decided to just put his own lyrics on it, and there you go. And that's the result. And it's a bit of a lost gem. Right, we're heading to the end of the show. As always, thank you all for listening. Septimus is, Septimusing about somewhere. We'll be back with you next week. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to leave you with another song because we're down that Sisters of Mercy rabbit hole, we may as well stay there. We're going to leave you with another song. It's sort of a spin-off of the Sisters. This is the aforementioned James Ray, who actually fronted the Sisterhood project. This is his solo project, James Ray and the Performance, that was actually released on the Sisters of Mercy's Merciful Release label. This song is Dust Boat. Okay, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week. Good night.